What's up, people? So, sociocultural approach. So, bottom line on this one, we start talking about like behaviors and mental processes. So, behaviors and mental processes are all because of like what society and culture tells you. So, what's up with that? So, like, society has things where like we expect people to act a certain way all the time. So, like, you all like turn on this video and there's like a certain thing you're expecting me to look like, act like, because of these like social norms. And so when you start talking about like social norms, there's like things that tell us like this is normal and okay, this is not normal, this is not okay. And so like, who are you all to tell me that when I'm sitting here in my chair in my house trying to teach that I can't just like sit here and like have a snack while I'm talking to you? Well, I'm gonna talk or have my mouth full. Who are you to tell me that something? If I want to start spinning around, when's the last time you've decided to spin around in your chair in the middle of class? So there's all these like rules and stuff that society puts on us, and they like start to judge normal and not normal and okay and not okay. And so like all the time we're just sitting here like, well, I guess I better do what society says is normal because of like social norms and social expectations. And so other people expect me to act a certain way. So then I'm supposed to just act that way all the time. So people like get in these groups, and these groups can then start to determine like how we're going to act all the time. And then we get into like a certain role. And so then I'm always supposed to act like I'm part of that role. And then sometimes other people directly influence on what we're going to do. So sometimes it's like unspoken, and like no one's ever said, don't wear a rainbow dash headband when you teach class. But yet that doesn't mean that I can't. So it's just kind of expected that I shouldn't. But then sometimes they directly tell you to do stuff. So when I go and talk to my daughter and I'm like, hey, what tattoos should I put on my face for class today? And she says, oh, that scary one of marshmallow and Abu. Those are the good ones you should have when you teach in class today. So now I've got influence from other people that are also starting to influence my behavior and changing the way that I might have been acting or presenting myself otherwise. So our culture sets these rules, and then we are even biologically wired so that if we start to break the rules and like get left out or feel like we're super different, it like builds up these like negative reactions in us. So we start to like not act like other people, and then it builds up anxiety and negative emotions, and that like forces us to go back and do what they want. So culture and society have such an influence, and we don't even realize how much an influence it has. So think about like all the things that I've done wrong so far since classes started today. You want to talk about my behaviors? You want to talk about my appearances? I'm not breaking any rules. I'm not doing anything that anybody tells me I can't do, but yet you all probably think a lot of what I've done since I've started this video has been wrong. And so that's all about like the expectations that you've set for me. And we have this on a broader cultural side also. So as we start looking at like the sociocultural approach, we got to start thinking about like, what is society making me do without, sometimes they tell me what to do, sometimes they don't tell me what to do, but how are they influencing the things that I think and the things that I do on a regular basis? So there are a few videos on my website, or not, on this playlist that you should check out. I know they're hyperlinked here. You can't click on those links, but they are in my playlist. There's at least one of them about an elevator, and it shows a lot of that social pressure that can start to happen. The other one that I want to draw your attention to is a scene from Brain Games about a waiting room and how they can just create some new expectations about like how to act and what to do and just create these social roles. The third one that you can see titled on your screen is Oksana. I want you to watch Oksana and look at what happens when you don't get human social roles as a major influence in your life. So Oksana was horribly neglected to the point that during those most influential years of her life, she was found more safety and security living with a pack of dogs than she did with other people. And so look at the influence that can have on your awareness of society and culture. And in case this all messed you up, you should be looking at these examples of society and culture with our social norms, with our social expectations, with the influences of other people, and those are both spoken and unspoken influences. But as we start to look at this, we start to see like we are so influenced by the environment that we're in all of the time. And some of them are big society and culture pieces. So all of the judgments you were making against me at the beginning of class, those are kind of wide scale. That's going to happen no matter what sort of classroom you're in. But some of them are very localized. So take a look at that concert on the bottom of the screen. And as you look at that concert on the bottom of the screen, I want you to think about how are you going to behave if they start playing your favorite song and you're attending that concert on the right side of the screen. Chances are you're going to be on your feet, you're going to be screaming, you're going to be physically moving around and probably singing along with it at the top of your lungs. And when other people look around and see you doing that, they're going to be like, yeah, they like that song. But then flip that. Go to the other concert on the screen, the one on the left. If they start playing your favorite song, how are you supposed to respond then? What happens to you if you stand up and start screaming along with that violin solo at the top of your lungs? Chances are you're going to get kicked out and escorted out of that concert hall. So why are those different? When you love that song and that violin solo, you're only supposed to sit here and be like, so what makes those different? You are in a different environment, and therefore you have a different set of cultural expectations. And we can even look within classroom to classroom in a school. You're going to learn different expectations, and you're just going to kind of assume what those are. When you go off to college, you're going to see even more cultural differences. There's certain things you can do in high school. There's certain things that you can do in college, but they're not always the same. Expectations change depending on where you are. And sometimes it can just be the people you're around. Think about if you are at home with your family. More than half of the teenagers that I have surveyed over the course of my career will say, I am a completely different person when I'm talking to my parents than when I'm away from my parents and out with my friends. So once again, there are different people that are influencing your behavior just by being around them. You're the same person, but yet you're in a different environment, so all of a sudden you act differently. You go to one concert, you act differently. You go home and hang out with your parents or your grandparents, you act differently. And then you go out with your friends and you're a completely different person again. Look at how much we change just on what society is telling us to do. And so we have this and we are always working towards them. So again, take a look at those videos before we go on to the bear. And as we go on to the bear and the guy fighting against the bear, you know the question that's coming up. So once again, as you pause, I'm going to go and bring him up here. Oh, that's strange position, isn't it? As we bring the bear guy up here and ask that question, why is he wrestling the bear? Before you answer, I want you to go and watch those videos that I have linked in the YouTube channel also. One about an elevator, one about Oksana, and one about one relating to an eye doctor's waiting room. So again, pause it, go watch those, come up with your answer for wrestling the grizzly bear, and then come back with an answer on why this guy is wrestling a bear according to the sociocultural approach. So as you have come up with an answer now, your answer should relate to, again, either social expectations, what people are expecting that this person is going to act, or maybe he's doing what other people do in that same culture, or you can have a direct influence from somebody else. So a direct influence answer might start to say something like, well, his parents were always bear wrestlers. And as his parents always wrestled bears, there was always an expectation that he was going to grow up and wrestle with bears too. And so here he is wrestling with bears because that's what his parents always told him he was going to do when he got older. So the other side of this could be maybe he's in a community where that's the rite of passage and he won't be expected to be a full member of society unless he goes through a certain rite of passage. In this case, like wrestling against a bear. It could just be something where in his group of friends, they've all decided they're going to go wrestle against this bear. And so therefore he has that unspoken social pressure that, hey, if I'm a member of this group, I'm supposed to do that and I'm supposed to act like that. So therefore he does. So as always, feel free to reach out if you have a significantly different answer you want to check out with me. If you have any other questions or concerns about the approaches so far, this is the last of the standalone approaches. We do have 8, but this is the last of the one that's freestanding on its own. And I have a big long list in my head. Bring to class or shoot me an email on how many different social violations you saw in this, the first half of this video. Let me know what you noticed. Let me know what you didn't notice. And so that can be an interesting discussion for us to bring back into class also. Have a great rest of your day, whatever day this may be that you're watching it. I wish you all the best and I'm looking forward to working with you as we continue to apply these approaches.